Hello? Is this thing on? Right. Big blue button. Okay, now? Incoming transmission. Please hold. Greetings, fellow explorers. Welcome aboard the Ancient Astronauts podcast, your portal to safe time travel for humans. I'm Ona, your cosmic co-pilot, and these are my navigators, Raffi and Caspian. Together, we'll explore past lives, uncover ancient truths, reawaken magic, and discover the invisible threads that connect us all.
Coming up on Ancient Astronauts.
I was like, oh, this will be fun. I'll share clips from my session. And now I'm like over here sweating a little bit.
I'm just kind of just in shock a little bit. There are moments that I recognize vocally that it is you, but it is absolutely not you speaking.
Leaders and rulers are often puppets. I am not a puppet.
What do you consider yourself to be?
A woman with a dream.
Speaking of wild, you ready to get fucking weird?
Yeah, let's get weird.
For millennia, humans have gazed at the stars, searching for answers to life's biggest questions. Who are we? Where do we come from? And why are we here? On Ancient Astronauts, we use a method called QHHT, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, to travel to higher dimensions and retrieve wisdom from the higher self. Think of it as a time machine for the soul, bringing back insights from past lives to heal and transform your present. On this podcast, you'll hear real clips from QHHT sessions, giving you a rare glimpse into other astronauts' travels. Join us as we dive deep to unravel the mysteries of the great unknown.
Live from Earth here in Topanga Canyon, strap in and prepare for takeoff. Our next great adventure begins now.
Welcome, fellow travelers. You're listening to the very first transmission of the Ancient Astronauts podcast. I'm Ona, and I want to tell you a secret. This isn't the first time I've been here, and I'm not just talking about on Earth, but here, waking up, remembering. This podcast is a chronicle of that remembering. It's part archive, part activation, part radio signal, beamed from the past to the future through you. I created this podcast to normalize this kind of remembering, to hold space for all of the beautiful, complicated layers of awakening, from the divine epiphanies to the sacred tears, and even those moments where your world is falling apart and you can't do anything else except eat the entire tub of ice cream and scream profanities into the void. Here, we honor the dark night of the soul and don't shy away from those questions that keep us up at night. We look for the wonder in all things, big and small, tracing the paths of inexplicable synchronicities that whisper, you are so much more magical than you know. My hope is that by exploring these journeys with us, you'll strengthen your own taste for adventure, bravely daring to dive into the unknown and unlock the hidden power that's been with you all along. So, if you've ever felt like you were here for something more, if you've ever had a dream that didn't quite feel like a dream, if you've ever followed a strange calling that you couldn't quite explain, then welcome. you're right on time. And to kick things off, I'm going first. In this opening episode, I'm going to share clips from my own personal sessions. And let me tell you, they're raw. They are strange and sometimes, honestly, quite unexplainable. But it'll give you a little glimpse into the types of adventures that we can go on together using QHHT. Not only will you get to know a little bit more about me, Ona, but you'll also get to meet some of the other multidimensional aspects of me that have shaped who I am today. And I won't be doing it alone. For this first transmission, I've invited a fellow explorer, someone who's seen my journey up close and who carries their own keys. Because sometimes remembering is easier and more fun when someone else is holding the thread with you, witnessing. Today, they're here to help guide the conversation and ask the questions you might be thinking.
I'm about to patch in the video feed for our interview now, so if you'd like to experience this journey with visuals, including subtitles for the QHHT transmissions, then head over to our YouTube channel at Ancient Astronauts Podcast. Caspian, boot up the Transcalar Visual Relay node. Raffi, keep your paws on standby, and please resist the urge to nudge anything unstable. Initiating visual stream.exe. Link established. System stable. All subsystems online.
Welcome aboard, astronauts. Today, I have invited my friend Sophie to join me. Sophie and I actually know each other from the immersive theater community and have done a ton of shows together, including Madcap Motel, Cages, which is a story for another day. That was a live holographic performance with dancers, singers, and live music.
It's pretty incredible.
But yeah, so Sophie has actually known me since before my awakening. You've been there through the whole process, and it's going to be really fun to check in and share with you where I'm at now. Yeah,
Yes,
so why don't you start off? So I start off these episodes asking our big three questions.
Okay.
Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you come from? And why are you here?
Okay, well, my name is Sophie, as you know.
Yeah.
Who am I? I am an artist. I'm a musician. I'm an actress. And I just love performing and expressing myself through performance. So I think that's a good summary of who I am.
Yeah. And you just started a rock band, right?
Yeah. It's been the dream my whole life. And I just...
Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah.
It's funny. I don't know where we're going with this, but I guess I had sort of my own awakening of sorts, which was the end of a very big relationship. And I think for a long time, I was afraid of my biggest dream, which was music. I really thought it was something that I couldn't achieve. And when it felt like I lost everything, like everything else that I was afraid of happening in my life happened. And so I wasn't really afraid anymore. And I thought, well, no one else is going to do this but me. So what am I waiting for? Like, and I really just threw everything out the window and just went for it 100%. And it's been the most rewarding thing I think I've ever done.
Wow. It's funny how that happens. Sometimes it's like it takes sort of a rock bottom moment and a complete clearing. When you feel like you've lost everything, then it's like, well, why the hell not?
Yeah.
We've got nothing to lose.
Because really, I actually found everything. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
Yeah. We'll later we'll give you the info for Sophie's band. So if anyone wants to check out her music, you guys can. But so where do you come from?
I am from Los Angeles, born and raised.
I don't think I knew that.
Really?
Actually, I think in my head I thought you were from London. Because your mom is.
Yes.
Right?
So my whole family's from London. I was the only one that was born out here.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I was born in Burbank. Yeah, kind of crazy.
Cali girl.
Mm-hmm. But I did go back and forth quite a bit because my mom is English. So, child of divorce, there was a lot of back and forth. Grew up a lot of my life in London, most of my life here, school in New York. So I kind of still consider myself like not really from here, but I was born here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Why are you here? Why are you here right now on planet Earth?
I think to learn and to grow and hopefully make some changes, positive ones.
Yeah. What kind of positive changes would be the most rewarding or fulfilling for you to see happen during your lifetime here?
I think I'm a big advocate for animals, and that's always been my thing. Like though I haven't been a vegan my entire life, I've been a vegan for 12 years now. And before that, the only reason I wasn't is because my parents wouldn't let me not eat meat. It was like a fight my entire life. And so I've always been advocating for kind of like in my head, it was always like I wanted to save the world. I wanted to save all the animals, but I also want to save, the planet because animal agriculture is such a big,
contributing factor.
Oh yeah, in the destruction
of resources.
Yeah, and but as I've gotten older, that's grown, and I just want to be a voice, I think, for the voiceless. And like also coming out of that relationship that I was in, now I really feel like I want to advocate more and more for women. I guess I thought we didn't need it, but we do. Like we still do. And there's just so many incredible women out there, and there's also so many women who still need.
It's a big awakening for the divine femme right now. And I think that in my personal experience, there's been this imbalance for a while. And, it's not about taking power away from anyone. It's about us all meeting in the center, really reclaiming this balance. So in all aspects, in animals, plant, people, resources. I think that's a big thing for me too, is what small and big changes can we make to come more into alignment, more into balance, more into a flow-like state, so that instead of working against each other, we're finding a beautiful way to collaborate and co-create and coalesce to create all of these dreams into a tangible reality where we're all having fun again.
Yeah.
Right?
Wouldn't that be so nice?
Just have fun.
I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
That's really all I want.
Yeah.
I just want to be happy. That's what life's about.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. But we've overcomplicated everything so much. And everyone's so unhappy.
Well, my cat, hold on a second. Raffi. Okay. You want to...
Like, nope.
Literally anywhere else except the cords, my sweetheart. And this is what it's like having cats aboard the ship. Sometimes they just lay on the keyboard and chart new coordinates, and they know better than me. They're actually my temple guardians for a lot of the work that I do.
That's amazing.
It's really funny. Like, is they like to be around when I'm doing QHHT sessions for people, and several of my clients have commented seeing them in their visions that they're having while they're going through their past lives. They'll be like, oh, your cat joined me.
That's amazing.
In the astral realm. Because cats can also see in other dimensions and stuff. I mean, it's like, there's that trope about, like witches with their black cats, but I understand why now.
Yeah.
Because when you do this kind of work where you're tapping into the unseen and sort of walking that line between this world and everything else that exists around us that perhaps we're not conscious of. They can see it all.
Oh, yeah.
These little guys. So
They see everything.
they ground and they protect me. But yeah, I thought it would be fun to have you on the show because you and I have not done a QHHT session yet, and we haven't talked a whole lot about it since we've done it. So I thought you would be a really good mirror for the audience to ask the questions that everybody else is probably thinking.
Yeah, I know nothing about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like what do you know, if anything?
Nothing. Truly nothing.
Yeah. So you've heard of past life regression
I
work
have.
before, and what do you understand that to be?
Just learning what you did in a past life. That's pretty much all I can.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
And what your soul has brought along the way.
Yeah. So basically, to summarize it real quick for everyone, and in episode 3, I do a deep dive for all you nerds out there, or anybody who's a bit more skeptical or has questions or curiosity for how exactly QHHT works. I'm doing a big deep dive in episode 3. So, but for now, to get us all started, QHHT, or quantum healing hypnosis technique, is essentially a really vivid guided meditation where you lay down and you are gently guided into a very deep trance-like state where your brain waves shift from, like, we're probably in alpha or beta right now, shifts into theta, which is the 15 minutes before you fall asleep and the 15 minutes as you're waking up. It's this sort of in-between space where you're not fully unconscious, completely in dreamland, but you're not aware of your surroundings anymore, but your brain is still active. It's that sort of daydream state.
Yeah.
Right? So you're taken into a very deep state. Then essentially what happens at a certain point, I call in your higher self to show you whatever lifetime is the most appropriate for you to see that day. And there are a lot of different factors that can, impact what you're ready to see. But they will always choose things that will be helpful, that have relevance to whatever you're working on currently in your life. And they will never show you anything that you're not ready for. So it's all done under the guise of what's in your highest good to know. Once the higher self takes the wheel, you may see a couple different moments from one life, or you may see several different lives with similar themes. And before doing a QHHT session, I ask people to prepare a list of questions that you have for your higher self. So often that list of questions can also sort of direct what lives you see. And these questions can be anything you want. Mm-hmm. You know, common questions are like, what's my purpose? Or, should I stay at this job? How can I experience more love in my life? Why am I repeating this relationship pattern? These are the sort of questions that you can ask. So based on what you're coming in feeling curiosity about, your higher self will then choose something for you to see. And the first half of the session, you go into your past life, explore, get to see scenes play out. And then in the second half of the QHHT session is when we call in your higher self and ask the questions. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's the basics of it.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Any questions, like off the top of your head before we get started? Because I've got some clips that I'm going to share with you.
Okay.
And then, we'll just listen to them and chat about what comes through.
So I'm going to go into the theta state.
If you were coming into a QHHT session,
Yes.
you would go into the
Okay.
theta state.
Okay.
So, and then we record what happens in the session.
Okay.
In a voice recording.
Got
And
it.
I'm going to play clips from one of my sessions for
I see.
you today.
Okay.
Pre-recorded when I'm in that theta state.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, should we just start? Should
Yeah,
we
let's
jump
do
right
it.
into
Yeah.
it? Okay, cool. So, Yeah, let's see. This first life, I don't really want to give too much beforehand. But the first clip I chose is something very basic. It's very simply when I'm first landing in the world and I'm describing what I'm seeing around me. So when you go into QHHT, there's a little bit of an adjustment period as you are landing because it's really vivid. You see everything in detail. You're smelling things, you're feeling different sensory sensations from your clothes, whether you're outside or inside. And so the first, few minutes of the session is just getting grounded and taking in all of the sensory information. And that's the first clip I'm going to play for you.
All right.
Tuning string. Earth.
What do you see?
Sand everywhere.
What color's the sand?
Gold brown.
Is it night or day?
It's daytime, it's very hot, and I'm definitely on Earth.
Do you see any trees or plants around you?
I'm looking out a window, actually. So the sand is outside. There are some plants, but it's mostly sand. There's some certain pockets of gardens and plants in like pots.
And how does the air feel to you?
Feels very clear, like not polluted. Feels very fresh, and it's hot, but there's a certain breeze. It's a little bit dry. I think I'm in a palace. It's like very sleek white floor tiles and different like mosaics around the windows, but it also feels like sandstone maybe. Everything is very smooth, very polished, a lot of care has been taken into the construction of this place.
Yeah. So that's the first clip. I just wanted to start with something really short, just to give everybody an example of like, this is how it starts. This is what it sounds like when you first drop in. I'm curious, what are your initial reactions?
I'm so curious, like, when it was.
Yeah.
I think when you said not polluted, I was like, oh my gosh. Well, yeah, of course it's going to be. I mean, if it was your first life.
This was not
your first.
my first life, but this is one of my Earth lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm excited.
One of my Earth lives. So we're gonna go and
Okay.
check in with a couple clips with
Okay.
this particular life. But yeah, that's where it starts. You're basically just getting grounded into the world, into the space, and you'll even hear in my voice a certain vocal patterns start shifting as I get more settled and the personality of this life starts to become a little bit more embodied.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at first it didn't sound like you. And I was like, wait, no, that is you.
Yeah.
But you did sound a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I've got some clips from a couple different lives.
Okay.
So we'll come back and compare later on that. But yeah, you will notice there's a little bit of background sound. I just want to throw that out there for everyone. There is a little bit of background sound in these clips. Sometimes I play different hertz frequencies to kind of help it go a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
You will also hear some rustling around because sometimes the body gets hot and starts moving, or in this particular session, there were actually a couple people present. So you will hear a little bit of movement. At one point, you will also hear a lovely puppy barking. So this is the nature of traveling around and doing sessions in other people's homes, or I just got back from traveling nomadically for 5 months. So this was one of the sessions that I did on the road.
Okay, amazing.
So just as a heads up, but yeah, let's, so now we got a little taste for the world. Now we're going to jump in and start to learn more about the identity of this person.
Tuning string. Earth.
I do this at dawn. I do this at dawn.
At dawn, you connect with the cosmos.
I do this for me. I do this at dawn. Connect and make sure that I'm centered and in my highest alignment for the day, because there are many who want to take advantage of me. There are many who wish to manipulate me, and particularly men, always trying to tell me what to do. And it is time for the old ways to die and new ways to come in. And in order to connect with these new ways, I have to be clear and I have to be by myself and not under the influence of anyone who's trying to push their own agendas.
How do you connect with the cosmos?
Through the flute.
Through the flute, you connect to the cosmos?
Yes, the flute connects to the high cosmos. Drums connect to the earth. I'm in communication with many spirit guides, although I do not say this to people. This was part of why I came down here during this time. A certain revolution, a certain embodiment. There was a time when the divine feminine was very well respected on this planet, when it was in balance. And yet men have tried to, over and over again, change this balance to diminish the power. So I have come down at this time to reclaim the divine feminine, not only for myself, but for others, to show a certain path, to remind people what it is like when a powerful woman takes care of the community.
Do you take care of your community?
Yes.
Are you the leader or ruler?
It's a complicated question. Leaders and rulers are often puppets. I am not a puppet.
What do you consider yourself to be?
A woman with a dream. A woman who sees the flaws and where we can do better. A woman who will not be scared into submission. A woman who owns her divine, sacred femininity without apology. Who understands this divine, sacred connection between the womb and the cosmos. Everything is birthed from the womb. If you reject the womb, if you reject the woman, you reject, in many ways, your own sacred creative power. This is when destruction falls. When we forget how wonderful it is to create new life. To live a fulfilling, satisfying, sensual, and enjoyable life. So many humans down here right now do not even have fun anymore. It's all become so serious. Play is important too, because it takes a lot of encouraging to convince the men in power to play, my God. Yeah. But with the right incentives, everyone can loosen up a little. This is not an easy task, what I have decided to do, but I do intend to have as much fun while I'm doing it as I can. all these rules, all these limitations they place on the people and the women. The only ones who do not have rules and limitations are men. This is what I challenge. If you can do it, why can't I? Most men do not like when I say that, but if I smile sweetly enough, they pretend they don't mind.
Oh.
Yeah, it's interesting how that sort of even just came up between us before we even jumped into it. For me, listening back to that, it was interesting to see how, even though I know from being in that life that it was not in recent history, this was a long time ago, how many things about what she's saying is still relevant.
Yeah.
How many sentiments or ideas still feel like we are looking at similar themes presently in our life today.
Do you have a sense of when?
I mean, there was no technology anywhere. No technology anywhere. To me, it felt like maybe like pre or early dynasty era. You know, it's interesting because like when you're in the life, you're looking for certain clues.
Yeah.
You know, like, do you see cars on the road?
Right.
Like, what are the streets made out of? But all the different snapshots that I saw of this life were indoors. So looking at what are the tiles made out of, what are the walls made out of, kind of can give you some clues. But I just remember I had a lot of jewelry on. I had a lot of jewelry that looked like lapis and onyx and something red, some kind of red stone. I don't know if it was ruby or something else. Lots of gold. Yeah, and we'll get into the next couple clips, but I had this temple. Because apparently I built temples specifically for the divine feminine because I thought that women didn't have somewhere to go to be alone and with their spirituality and their divine femininity. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so what are your first reactions to what was coming through?
You sound powerful. And you absolutely feel like you slipped into another personality, which is wild.
She felt I really liked getting to feel her energy. And I know that's like probably such a strange thing to hear because it's like it was an aspect of me, but she is very different from who I am in this life. And there's like a certain softness, but also a sensuality and a little bit of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little bit of defiance.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like playful defiance.
Yeah.
And I am definitely someone in this life who, up until very recently, took life way too seriously. You know, not focusing on simple pleasures or, you know, having fun while doing the work. And that was something I really took with me after the session. You know, I remember that she had this very slow, smooth, silky sort of pace through her day. And it was very grounded, but she was also very observant. She saw everything and could see behind a lot of the masks and veils that people wore. Yeah, so the next clip I have, I think showcases a little bit more about her philosophy. I don't know. I think what really struck me about this, like, I remember getting a little, like, teary when I listened back to it for the first time because it's so poetic. And what's so strange about this type of work is like there are deep emotions attached to each of these things for me. And even though like I don't consciously remember like a whole lot of this life except for like what I saw when I was in the trance-like state, like even just listening back to little moments like that start to stir all of that energy in me again.
Do you remember everything or like when you come out of it, or do you remember it because of the clips that were taken?
Yeah. Hold on one second, the cat. Raffi. Stop it.
You need to be a part of this.
Yeah, it in a general sense, it can vary for everyone. Mm-hmm. So some people will be... Raffi making his entrance, everybody.
I love it.
Hi, baby.
Hi.
You want to show everyone your bow tie?
Yes.
Yeah. So it varies person to person, but that's part of the reason I record it.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to worry about like holding on to all of the details. You can just relax and let yourself experience it. Yeah. So some people, it used to be because Dolores Cannon is the person that created this type of method to do past life regression through hypnosis, specifically QHHT. And when she was refining the technique, she talks about the progression of clients where early on, people wouldn't remember much. And it was almost sort of like this version, this egoic identity would sort of fully go to sleep, yeah. While the other one was becoming embodied. And there's some people that don't remember anything at all, which is called being somnambulistic. I have one friend who I did a session for, and she woke up and had no recollection of anything.
Okay.
Wow. But typically, people remember bits and pieces. And what I'm finding now is like as the planet is going through this mass spiritual awakening, because we're more conscious in this life and in this body, a lot of people are more conscious during the sessions and remember more immediately. But what I have found personally in the feedback I've also gotten from clients is like when you listen back to the clips, all the visuals come back.
Yeah.
The emotions in the body come back. You start to go through all of those sensory elements again, and sometimes even can go deeper and see or notice things that maybe you didn't fully clock the first time when it was happening, because it's like it's so much visual stimuli, but also the five senses that like, I don't want to say it can be overwhelming, but it can be stimulating.
Okay.
In a way that eventually you kind of find the flow through. But that's why the beginning, you'll hear like the practitioner was just asking a lot of questions, is it night? Is it day? Is it warm? Is it cold? Because you're just getting grounded into the experience of it. Because imagine I would imagine it's probably similar to what lucid dreamers experience, except this isn't fantasy. It's your higher self taking you back through memories that are in your DNA that you're not consciously aware of in this life. Because when we come down to earth, we go through the veil of forgetfulness and you don't remember anything that's come before. But it doesn't mean that you can't recover those memories. But sometimes our ego gets in the way, which is why the trance-like state works. Because when you're in theta, your ego, your personality, the gatekeeper, the one that knows all the rules and how everything works in your life and who Sophie is and who, you know what I mean, all these things, they step to the side. And so you're able then to access what we call your higher self or your oversoul, which is the part of you that's still connected to source, that has all of the information about everything that's ever happened to you ever in this life and in any other lives. And because there's not that like egoic personality, or sometimes as we call the gatekeeper, when they're taking a rest and they step to the side, it allows the information to just come through unfiltered. I mean, I've been doing this work because I was doing my own past life regression and memory exploration before I learned this technique for a couple years. And then it was in wanting to help other people experience this that I became certified in QHHT. And so I had done a lot of memory work before anyone had ever done my first QHHT session that I received from someone. But it's interesting because, and we'll play some of these clips in a second, like my jaw still drops at some of the shit that comes out of my mouth, because you're like I definitely didn't know that beforehand. Like, you know what, like, sometimes it's like, where is this coming from?
Yeah. It can't be fabricated.
No!
Yeah.
And you can hear the certainty
yeah.
in what's being described as well. And it still doesn't mean it's not a little disassociating or shocking even. But yeah. Are you ready for the next clip?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one I chose, like I said earlier, because I think it shows a little bit more about her point of view and her psychology.
Okay.
You know, it's like past life regressions aren't just memories and events and this happened to me. It's also feelings and emotions and perspective.
Yeah.
Tuning string. Earth.
Just the simple things. People try and complicate it, but we can learn a lot from flowers. The way there's a certain sensuality to flowers blooming, allowing themselves to unfurl and unfold and to be seen for the soft center they have that once was hidden by all the petals, by all the layers. Divine unraveling to the heart. So that's what's at the center. I think if flowers did have a heartbeat, that's where it would come from, right? In the middle, at the top of the stem, radiating out through all the petals, all the leaves. If you listen closely, you can actually hear it. Each flower has their own heartbeat of a song. The way they simply exist without needing permission from anyone or anybody else. You plant the seed and it grows, and it's as simple as that. He's like that in some ways, unfurling, blooming. They try to put all the armor back on him when he goes out. But there's even moments, even within this public image, a glance. Did you ever know a glance could break a man? And I don't mean in a bad way, but it can break the armor. Because when you see a man for who he truly is, it can't be unseen. And sometimes when that person who has seen you for who you really are, all it takes is a glance to remind them. I love that. So many people feel unseen. There's so many constructs of who you think you're supposed to be and what you think you're supposed to do, but I think the greatest love and intimacy happens behind closed doors when no one else is watching. When the charade falls away, when the grand play, when you're off stage, when you're in the wings. That's when the real magic happens. That's when the real truth is revealed. That's when the full embodiment can occur and you can be both of the earth and of the sky at the same time. Neither one forgetting the other half.
known me for what?
Yeah.
Like 7 years? Have you ever heard me talk
No.
about that?
No.
It's
As another person.
It's bizarre, right?
It's another life.
And I remember during that part of the session, and every once in a while, like my ego will come in and it's not able to like get in, but I'll have this thought that I recognize, like, oh, that was Ona, like in the background. And I remember during that part, like being like, what the fuck am I saying? Like, this is cool and it's beautiful and it's poetic and like, and anytime I thought, well, what am I going to say next? It just kept coming. And it's the strangest, coolest, and really, I just remember the way she felt when she was saying that.
Yeah.
Because she mentions, I don't know if you caught it, she mentioned he.
Yeah. Who's he?
Yeah, so he, basically what happened right before this, so she was like sitting at this window, you know, playing the flute, connecting with the cosmos. And after that little blip, I was taken to a different day in that life where I was inside this temple. And it was this beautiful indoor temple that was like a garden. All of these plants, and it had like this, like, I don't even know what you would call it, like pool or pond type of thing in the center with statues and fountains, and then like there was sort of a winding path that went around, and in there were all of these private baths that you almost probably couldn't even find if you didn't know the way through. And she described it as a temple. And she said, you know, there are very few places women can go to simply be with themselves without being called upon to run the house or run and do this. And so she created these temples for women within her community, but this one was hers specifically, that she would meet her lovers at behind closed doors in the wings, as she says. And this was one of the men that she described as one of my favorites, that she would have these little rendezvous with inside these temples. And she talks a little bit more about him in the next clip, but yeah. Any feedback or impressions so far?
I'm just kind of just in shock a little bit. Like, it's really incredible.
Yeah, what's shocking or what feels incredible about it?
Just hearing her speak, it absolutely, there are moments that I recognize vocally that it is you. Just because I know your voice.
Right.
But it is absolutely not you speaking. And it's so, like, I mean, I guess I don't know how to describe it better than that it's just not you.
Yeah.
And that is kind of wild to experience.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like someone else has taken over your body, and I know it's not that, but
right.
But that is what it feels like.
Yeah. It's wild on this end too.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've done enough of these now that I think I'm a little more comfortable with it,
Yeah.
but it's still, especially going from life to life, right? Like, you'll hear my voice actually change. Like, when we go to the life after this one, completely different, you know? But it's like, it's interesting because like the vocal patterns change, even the enunciation and the choice of words is different. But it's interesting because even, like listening back to it now, it's like I can feel the movement of that different energy. And that's not me in this life now.
Right.
Yet I also recognize certain aspects of her that are part of me, even though I express it differently in this life. You know, there's certain links or similarities in terms of beliefs or certain embodiments. But I think what's super fun actually about doing this work is like when you connect in with your past life, it sort of is like opening up a channel.
Mm-hmm.
And so even after the past life regression, more memories sometimes will come back, especially if you actively decide or intend for it to happen. But there's also this like sort of energetic link that happens. And what's cool about it is like you can bring more of that energy if you desire, like into your life now. And so like I'll give you an example. And this is so bizarre to be saying out loud, but it is absolutely the truth. I started getting all of these memories of the harp.
Oh, wow.
And I don't play any musical instruments in this life.
Well,
I played flute for like 2 years, and that was it, like in middle school. But I'm not super musical in this life, or so I thought. I started tapping into these harp memories in multiple lives where I played the harp. And I don't know if you noticed when you came in,
you have a harp.
I built that harp. I built a harp. Sophie, I built a harp.
How?
I built the harp. And I've been playing it. And it took me a long time to actually like really get into it. I think because like the ego was getting in the way a little bit. Like I didn't want to be bad at it.
Of course.
And then like a couple days, like I remember one night I was like so tired, you know, like when you're like kind of sleep delirious or whatever. And I all of a sudden felt like my higher self pinged me to like play the harp. And I was like, man, it's going to sound like shit. You know what I mean? I did all that stuff. Totally. And then I sat in front of it and I got this like note from my higher self. Like, you know, sometimes you just like have these thoughts that come in. I had this thought that came in that was like, don't think of it as if you're playing notes. Think of your fingers as dancers. And you're choreographing a dance. And I mean, I'm a dancer, right? Yeah. Like my mom was a professional dancer. I grew up doing competitive dance. And there was something about that just like clicked and all of the resistance left. And I closed my eyes and I don't know what I was doing, but my fingers were doing some kind of muscle memory shit that I definitely didn't learn in this life. And I didn't watch anything on YouTube. I didn't nothing.
Yeah.
But when I let my ego get out of the way, I was like channeling something.
That's amazing.
And that is trippy. And that happens with almost every past life that I go to, that there's some sort of skill or activity or element of the personality that if I choose, I can actually pull and bring into this life, because it's sort of like a connection being made, right? You're relinking with that part of yourself that you weren't aware of before. And once you become aware of it and you sort of make this connection, then you can continue to energize that pathway, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really bizarre, but...
Do you think, or have you experienced any of your lives being aware of each other?
Okay, yeah, this is a great question. So here's what's interesting, right? So I've done a lot of these sessions now, and there's definitely certain similarities in terms of what I've noticed are the rules for incarnating on Earth.
Okay.
Are different because we get into the human lives, but there's also the alien lives that start coming through. Specifically, the rules on Earth are we have a veil of forgetfulness in place. And so when you come down here, you choose to come down here and forget everything. Now, you can remember by doing this work, all of the answers are within your body, within your consciousness, within your DNA even. You know, that's where ancestral lineages and things passed down through that come. So it's all accessible, but you have to intend to wake it up. You have to intend to go retrieve it. And once you open that pathway, you can become aware of these other energies, right? Now, in terms of them becoming aware of me, I have found that happens more often for the alien shit, because some of them on their planets, they don't go through the veil of forgetfulness.
Right.
So they are consciously aware of all the other lives going on, or what all their past lives are. And so there is this ability and recognition and even acknowledgement of that. And then you get into the aspect that time isn't linear and it's not really real. And so, and this is probably for a deep dive another day, but what I have also noticed is that, because some people say, well, what's the point of going and looking at your past if it was in the past? Like, why do you care? But if you go back, there's something about witnessing these things and even sort of energetically tapping into them from a different perspective, like from the part of you that's past that, that can actually ripple healing, not only into your current life, but also ripple healing back to them. And we'll get into one of those clips from this life where she does eventually go through something difficult, which I have definitely experienced echoes of in this life. Certain, because when we go, especially when we go through trauma, if you don't heal the trauma in that life and it's unresolved, what happens?
You carry it.
Yes, you take it with you. And so even if you don't consciously remember what happened in the life before this one, it still is a part of your DNA, and it still impacts your choices, your behavior, and your personality, and also the lessons that you're choosing to work on in this life. Because if you didn't heal it in that one, you probably chose circumstances to intersect with similar circumstances or belief systems so that now you have a chance to confront it, heal it, and really let it go.
Yeah.
So you notice these certain patterns and cycles in your life, which is why I personally love this work, because once you go and view the cycle or the pattern and you see, oh, this is a pattern that I have repeated, and you see the ways in which you didn't quite get it the first time or the second time or the third time, it makes it so much easier to actually address in this life.
Yeah.
Like when I tell you, like I have had several cycles of abandonment, and I've also had a tough thing with mother-daughter relationship, and this is not to say anything about my mother in this life. We have a wonderful relationship. But there's something about the dynamic that has always been difficult for me in a way that I'm not sure if I want kids. Like part of me is like, do I want to bring children into this world? Do I want to go, I don't know. And I could never really pinpoint where that belief came from, and I definitely have things I've overcome. I used to get really hung up on being adopted, and that's something that combines both of those patterns, abandonment and mother-daughter relationship. But what I found is that I've had a lot of trauma around the dynamic of mother-daughter specifically, not mother-son or vice versa. And I mean in both sides, where I'm either the daughter or I'm the mother. And so it's interesting to see in particular how my crazy soul was like, we're going to deal with that abandonment wound right at the beginning. Like literally the first relationship you're going to have, we're just going to dive right in.
Yeah.
But my God, girl, have I dealt with that in so many lives and not healed it?
Wow.
But it was funny because once I saw that, though, I was like, oh, well, that's why I chose to be adopted. And that's why, oh, and my adopted mother never abandoned me. So why, girl, why are you so stuck up on this abandonment wound? Like, I had to really talk myself through it. I was like, girl, no one abandoned you. Your mother is literally one of the most loving, beautiful people on this planet. And you have said multiple times, if you could handpick your parents, you wouldn't pick anyone else.
Yeah.
So why are you still saying you were abandoned?
That's so interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have any patterns or cycles in your life that you suspect might have seeds in other past lives?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any you feel like sharing?
I mean, I have this constant, I just keep getting into these very abusive situations. I had a really crazy upbringing with not a direct parent, I'm going to be vague, who, yeah, I have a cycle of picking narcissistic relationships and literally giving them my all, my everything, and abandoning myself to make this person happy or love me, or I don't know what that is, but I definitely have repeated it a few times in this life. So I'm absolutely certain I brought it from somewhere else.
Yeah. So in the context of QHHT, if you and I were to do a session,
Right.
this could be one of your questions.
Mm-hmm.
Where, and obviously there's an umbrella, right? That you might have a couple questions within that topic. But, if we were to start simply, we may ask, why am I attracted to narcissistic people?
Mm-hmm.
Why have I had so many relationships with narcissistic people? What am I trying to fill within myself by having these relationships, right? And what's very cool, and we'll get into a higher self clip later, like they will answer directly. And sometimes the stuff that comes through, like, because the past life stuff is weird and cool and interesting, but some of the stuff that the higher self says, like, I listen back to some of my sessions, I'm like, I couldn't have made that up if I tried.
Right.
Like, and yet there's a truth and a resonance, and they'll always tell you what will be in your highest good to hear, know?
Yeah.
Like, and everyone's higher self has a bit of a different personality. Like mine, bless her heart, trolls me sometimes, which is really interesting, but I get it because, I think part of what I'm shifting into in my life right now is not taking everything so seriously, and like finding the cosmic humor in this crazy little game that we're playing on Earth, which can feel so chaotic. And sometimes like we're just confused Sims running around like not sure what to do, right? Yeah. And I do think that there's something interesting about finding the humor within that. But I've also asked really sensitive questions to my higher self and have felt the deep reverence and care. Like it almost feels like if you had like an older sister or a best friend who knew absolutely everything about you and they were asked a really difficult question and somehow they say exactly what you needed to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always necessarily comfortable, but it will be whatever's in your highest good to know and hear and understand in that moment. Which is wild.
Yeah.
Because I come out of those sessions then I'm like, okay, So I just told myself something that I needed to hear. Why didn't I tell myself that sooner? But like the ego and the personality can get so caught up in these stories that we make up.
Oh my God, yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to cut through all the chaos and the noise and get to the truth. And that's one really cool thing that QHHT can do.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So we'll get, I do have one clip where my higher self trolled me just a little bit. Just a little bit. But we'll go through that later. I do have another clip from this female life that I want to share. And yes, this is, I already sort of set the scene. She's in the temple with this lover of hers. And let's hear what she has to say.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
Tuning string. Earth.
It is simple, but there's something so, what is the word? So intimate. To wash away the masks from another, to allow yourself to be completely seen in your nakedness underneath all of the layers.
Mm-hmm.
To wash someone's hair, to enjoy all of the corners and aspects and the simplicity of the human body. I mean, it's quite miraculous. The human body. So much beauty there. Really, if we all got in touch with these simple things, these simple pleasures, the world would be much more pleasurable in general. I always think when they're all going off to war, they're all so handsome. How can you fight each other when there's this much beauty all around? But they put up their shields and hold their swords and put on their angry faces, and everyone forgets that even the enemy standing across from you is beautiful. You just have to open your eyes.
What are you both doing now?
Well, I am sitting on his lap. I'm trying to put flowers in his hair, but he's being fussy. He always eventually lets me do what I want, though. It's interesting, because even though he allows himself to be seen, we still play these silly little games at first where he has to remember that he doesn't have to keep the walls up. I have to remind him. I have to gently guide him back to himself. Because men like flowers, too. They're so annoying. And finally, when he's relaxed enough, we will make love in this place with the goddesses by our side. All of the sacred women who walked before tried to keep the flame alight. They all walk with me now. All of the greats are inside this place and also inside me, lighting this sacred torch for all women to remember their inner light as the power of the flame of fire. True fire. The eternal flame within the heart can never be extinguished.
Feels interestingly relevant considering some of the things that have happened this week.
Yeah.
But I thought, like, what a beautiful sentiment. And I remember this moment very clearly of her, like, imagining all these, like, hunky, attractive men in their armor with their weapons, and, you know, her just, like, sort of going on this daydream where she's seeing them, like, ride in on their horses, and they all had these very, like, dramatic hats. You know, it was very, like, flamboyant.
Yeah.
And their muscles are rippling, and they're all riding up, and they stand, like, face to face, but they're so focused on being angry and following these orders that they're not looking at the person across from them. And I remember her just, like, having this daydream where she was kind of, like, walking down the center in between both sides that were about to charge each other, and just being like, oh, you're both so attractive. Like, how can you fight? Like, why would you want to when there's so much beauty right here, right in front of you? Like, open your eyes, take off the helmet, look at each other. Look at this person across from you that you're about to try and stab. But we don't have that sort of center of presence. And I think it's one of the saddest things when it comes to talking about war and fighting about it and taking sides. Is like, we don't take the time to think about those people's faces, who they are individually. It's much easier to characterize someone as an enemy by not humanizing them.
Yeah, that's what it is. We do dehumanize the opposite. You know. We don't, but the powers that be currently do, and do a pretty good job of it too. And everyone forgets. Which makes me think that they all need to go through this. How freeing could that be if everyone was this aware of how history repeats itself?
Well, you know what's fascinating too is, like, I have definitely found that there, you know, because of course there's a karmic element as well, right? And it's like, if you are someone racist, for example, towards a certain group of people, you better bet your ass you're coming back as that 100%. Race in your next life.
Yes.
You know? And so, yes, it's interesting to think about what experiences those individuals must have gone through to be where they're at now, even the people we might not agree with. Because when you are acting from a place of such fear and pain, that you are causing that much fear and pain, you've been through some fucked up stuff, because hurt people. Yeah. And so this is why it's so important to heal and address this kind of wounding. Otherwise, you just carry it forward and forward and forward, and it gets more deeply embedded into the energetic signature of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and you keep playing the same cycles. If you're not learning the lessons and overcoming it, then because there's both ascension and descension, right? And this isn't like being above or below anyone, but for me, ascension is learning and moving forward, whereas descension is repeating the same stories or the same cycles or the same life over and over and over and over and over again, and not letting yourself move forward. Where you feel like you're moving back because you're going deeper into the triggers, deeper into the trauma, deeper into the fear, and not allowing yourself to release these things that are actually causing you physical, emotional, and mental pain. And yeah, many of us are not aware of even what we've been carrying from lifetime to lifetime, which is why it's so, in my opinion, beneficial and important to do this kind of work, whether you do it through QHHT or not, because there are many different methods or techniques for tapping into these energetic lines or this DNA memory. So by all means, there are many different ways that you can do this. But the commonality is it's all through stillness, self-reflection, introspection, and curiosity. And I think in my opinion, one of the things we're struggling with right now on Earth is there's a lack of curiosity. There's a certain acceptance. Yeah. I know everything, or, well, this is the way it's going to be. It's the way it has been, and it's the way it's going to be forever. And it's simply not the truth. Doing this kind of work, I've seen so many different types of worlds. And yes, there are some themes, these deeper themes of femininity, divine femininity, and the balance of power within that is something we're still working through on Earth in many ways. But, oh man, to be able to swim in pollution-free water.
Ooh. What a treat.
Yeah. And that was something that happened here on Earth. I'm not even talking about, the alien shit yet, because there are civilizations that don't have war. They've evolved past that type of intense conflict. But it's possible.
Yeah. Anything's possible.
Well, I've got one more from this life before we wrap it up. So we were talking about cycles and imprints. This relates to that, I guess we will say. And it's interesting because this session that I'm playing clips for you from, I did not too long ago. It was just about a couple months ago. And I think one of the really cool things that I experienced is, even though what's going to come up in this clip will be sensitive for some viewers, and I will give a little bit of a trigger warning for my ladies, I think what was really interesting about Ona going through this experience was I recognized how much healing I had done around these themes, that I can have so much compassion for her in this moment without feeling devastated. It's it doesn't feel like you're reopening old wounds in a way that makes you spiral out or lose your mind. I think what it gave me was actually a lot more compassion for myself, because I went through that and I made it. We have a lot of resilience as a human race, even if we don't give ourselves that credit all the time. All right.
2
Tuning string. Earth.
What's happening now?
The most terrible thing.
What happened?
I was with child and I lost it.
You were with who?
Child.
You said you were with child and you lost him?
Yes.
A child or your child?
6 to 7 months. I know these sort of things happen, of course, but it doesn't make it any less sad.
Was it a miscarriage?
Yes.
Was it your baby with your lover? Was it the man you were bathing?
Yes. I don't think he knows.
That you were pregnant or that you lost the baby?
He has been away for a long time.
Okay. He doesn't know that you're pregnant?
There's a war. And he has been away for a long time. And of course I know these sort of things can happen, but I didn't think it would feel as lonely. Most of the men are gone. It's very lonely here. And much of the women don't know what to say, so they just keep away. I don't blame them. There are not many who even knew. And those handmaids that were close to me know that nothing can soothe a woman's heart in this position. They have warned me that I will probably be sick and in pain for about a week while it continues to come. While the body is clearing. But I have to be brave and I have to be strong. I can't would have made things very complicated. But I did want it. And so, as one must, I put on my makeup and I put on my jewelry and I go do what I need to do as if nothing has happened. Because what scares men even more than an intelligent woman is a weak or emotional woman in power. So, 'tis my burden to bear alone for now. my ladies in waiting dress me to help conceal what has happened. They do my makeup especially nice today. I think to try and cheer me up. No one speaks to me, but I can tell in the way they are delicate with their hands and the way they linger just a second more to make sure it's absolutely perfect. And in these small ways, I am very grateful for them. It is their way of showing love in this moment when there are no words to say.
Hi, Raffi. What are you... Hey. Raffi. You better not. Attention, travelers. We are currently experiencing some technical difficulties due to the resident fluffy chaos goblin aboard the ship. Please hold... Caspian, can you... Raffi! Well, that sound you just heard, that was the Transcalar Visual Relay Node, also known as our entire video system, going completely offline. Raffi, who is now curled up on top of the master console giving himself a bath, apparently concluded things were getting a little too serious in here. So, he first climbed into the cockpit to sit on my lap, then launched himself across the console like a comet, knocked over all of the quantum clarity crystals, then completed his grand finale by crashing straight into the video tower like an orange turkey-sized bowling ball. And he is now insisting the rest of this transmission be audio only. And let's be honest, although I'm technically the pilot, I'm clearly not the one who runs this ship. So please enjoy the rest of this journey as an audio-only transmission. And direct all future complaints to Raffi's magnificent squirrel tail. Thank you for your patience. Please hold.
What's coming up for you?
It's almost like I feel like I'm watching a movie. It's because it's so full and so real. Like, it doesn't feel like you're just, it doesn't feel like you're just stating a memory. It feels like you're absolutely living in that.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly touching you.
It's also just so beautiful, like, well, I mean, even what we were talking about before, just the way, just how women care for one another.
Yeah,
and the way we take care of
really
each other.
Emotional, actually, because it was like, because I mean, for me it triggers the emotions too. They come back, but I remember like just feeling like that was such a shitty day, and knowing there was this big weight, knowing that I couldn't really tell anyone because it was, the impression I got was that it was that lover's child, and even though I wanted it, if I had come to full term, it would have been very tricky politically, because he was not someone I was supposed to be being intimate with, supposed to be, whatever. But yeah, I just remember like how delicate they were, and just lingering a moment longer. And I remember feeling so lonely in that moment, even though I was surrounded by women, but no one knew what to say. And yet when I came out of feeling bad for myself and I noticed what they were doing, like I remember consciously being like, don't you dare cry and mess up the wonderful work that they're doing, because they're making it special for you today, because they don't know what to say and they know there's nothing right to say that's going to make you feel better in this moment. So in their way, that's how they were caring for me in a moment where, like, that small moment of kindness changed the tone of my entire day. And that was one of the big takeaways I think that I took from her, was like, if we can challenge ourselves to really be present in individual moments, because I'm sure she had other things on her mind. She was in some sort of position of power. Like, obviously there's a lot going on, but what was she talking about? The beauty of flowers. The simplicity of washing her lover in a temple and appreciating his skin and poking fun at him because he wouldn't let her put flowers in his hair, you know? That it's like, even this woman, you can tell by the way she speaks and by the presence in her voice that, I mean, definitely the feeling I got in there was that she was very well respected, even though there were men trying to tell her what to do because they're not used to an intelligent woman. I still got the impression that she left most men speechless. It's like they were expecting her to be dumber.
Yeah.
You know, or just a pretty face, but to kind of, even with that kind of presence and responsibility, that what she's choosing to talk about is the simplicity of being a human without all the masks, without all the layers, letting the petals all unfurl until you bloom. It was so interesting. It's something I think about all the time.
It's so beautiful.
Like, how often do we overlook even just the plants that are in our yard outside of our homes?
All the time.
Sometimes we can get so go, 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 on to the next thing. It's a lot of doing, but it's not a lot of being.
It feels like there's not a lot of appreciating what we have and just taking the world around us for granted.
Yeah.
But it is so beautiful, and we're so lucky to have it.
There's so much we could do with it, too.
Yeah. I really do think that the beauty in life and all the things that we have to learn and grow, it really is just about simplifying everything. We've made everything so complicated.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think, like, there can be beauty in complexity, but if it's without presence, then what's the point? Because the simple thing in terms of war is that we're all humans who want to live. Does it need to be more complicated than that?
No. I think if you ask most people, they don't care where the borders are or where the, you know, as long as they are with their family and the sun's shining outside and they have food to eat. And when you really boil it down, it's just everyone wants to feel safe.
Safe, loved,
Yeah.
and seen, I think. It's certainly true. And all the work that I've seen, it comes down to those three things.
Yeah.
And other things too, but it's funny how once you take off all the layers and all the masks and all the drama, it really, humans are simple.
Yeah.
And life can be simple.
But we create all this fear that's not real.
Yeah. So that's another thing. Because you do these sessions long enough, and fear is not something that exists everywhere. That blew my friggin' mind, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's not, there are civilizations, and not even just civilizations. There are planets out there where all the beings living on there currently have never experienced the emotion of fear. And there are some souls who, throughout all of their lifetimes, have never experienced fear. Now, obviously, they don't choose to come down to Earth, but there are some souls that have decided that they don't want to experience that. So, you know, it's like the trade-off is, if you're down here on Earth right now, you wanted the full gambit.
Yeah.
You wanted to feel everything. And I think for those of us that wish things were different, it's part of why we came down here. To do something different. Mm-hmm. To make a change. Mm-hmm. Because even with the veil of forgetfulness, there's some part of us that remembers it can be simpler. It can be easier. It can be more fun. Yeah. And I think that the more of us who decide to go investigating and to remember and to think outside of the box of what this world looks like and what the rules are here, we can change the rules anytime. This is a planet where we can literally manifest anything we want. So then we have to look at, well, why are we manifesting this? Mm-hmm. What are we learning from it? Well, let's learn it so we can move on. That's how I feel personally, right?
Yeah, I've actually recently just started to truly understand, or not fully understand, but learning to understand manifestation. And the thing is that I think people are unaware that they're manifesting all the time. So if they're not conscious about it, and we do let fear run our lives, then we are manifesting that. You're just manifesting more of the same of what you focus on. So I've witnessed that in my own life. I've been in a positive state of mind and manifested incredible things happening. And then when I get in the swirl and I can't get out of it, I just end up manifesting more of the same. So it's really interesting. I think it's that some people, or most people, unfortunately, just aren't aware.
I think there's something really poignant that you said, is we're manifesting all the time. I absolutely believe that. But are you consciously manifesting, or are you unconsciously manifesting? Mm-hmm. Because if you're consciously manifesting, you're going to choose to manifest things you desire.
Yes.
If you're unconsciously manifesting, oftentimes what comes in are your most saturated thoughts, your strongest emotions, which for a lot of people is fear. Anxiety, all the different colors within that. And it's about making a choice. Mm-hmm. And what I've learned through all this hypnosis stuff, right? Theta program, blah, 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 all it is about overriding the old programming.
Yeah.
It's actually simple. It's not necessarily going to feel simple in practice, because a lot of these stories and these scripts and programming we've been repeating for years and maybe even decades. But yeah, absolutely. It's about duration, strength, and frequency. Mm-hmm. So whatever you are thinking about the most frequently throughout the day is going to be the seeds of what you are watering. And the more you come over and you water that seed and you go back to that anxiety, you go back to that fear, or you go back to that excitement, you go back to that daydream, you go back to something that lifts your heart. It's whatever you're watering is going to grow. You just have to decide whether you're going to grow a delicious orange tree or a bush of weeds. It's going to grow.
Yeah.
Whatever you water is going to grow, and they're all seeds. So But if you have a bunch of weeds in your garden, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't water them anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe even go rip a couple of them back.
Yeah.
But if you then return back to those thoughts over and over and over again, you're just throwing out more seeds.
Yeah. I literally have learned to stop myself. Like, I'll literally say stop out loud when I find myself going into a negative thought pattern.
Yeah.
Because I've, struggled with depression most of my life, and that is something that I realized I had more control over than I thought.
What was the aha or the click moment where you realized?
The breakup. I was miserable for years. And everything was hard. Everything. And then I realized it didn't have to be anymore. And I could choose to let it be easy and stop choosing the hard.
Wow.
And it still is hard sometimes because, like you said, it's a pattern that I have been repeating for my entire life and probably longer. So I really have to consciously stop myself and say, no, I'm choosing something different today.
That's the work, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. That is the fucking work.
Yeah. Because nobody wants to be unhappy. I want to be happy.
Right.
So why have I spent so much of my time being so unhappy? And even when I'm doing things that I love, I couldn't fully enjoy them because there was always some bigger weight, some bigger stress, something else that I was focusing on in my life that seemed harder, that didn't let me enjoy the things that I loved. So yeah, where your focus goes is what grows.
And I think it's tough because I think when you're really hitting rock bottom and it feels like you're just getting hit with one thing and the next thing, you know what I mean? It can feel so drastic.
Mm-hmm.
And in those moments, I think for a lot of people, myself included, when I found myself there, is it can feel like, well, how the fuck can I be happy that this is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what I want to add to what you've said is one thing I have found out without a doubt is when that shit happens, your whole life is about to change. You're at a threshold moment because you've been changing.
Mm-hmm.
You've been deciding you want something else. And when you get hit with an onslaught of that kind of crap, it's not that you're failing and it's not that you're going back. It's actually the final tests from the universe going, are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure? But let me just give that to you one more time. Oh, look, she's still crying about that. Look at that strong emotion. She wants this.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way manifestation works, it doesn't understand I do or I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning you could go, I do want a lot of money. Or you could go, I don't want a lot of money. But what it's actually listening to is the emotion and feeling that's attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're going, I want a lot of money. What's the emotion that you're throwing at money? It's it's like this draw. And so then it's not. They're gonna go. Oh, money does not make her happy. Don't give that to her. That's not what she wants. You know.
But I do. Yeah, I know. It's wild.
It is wild. Speaking of wild, you ready to get fucking weird?
Yeah, let's get weird.
Okay, so we did a human life. And I gotta tell you, Sophie, I know that you don't know this yet. I don't have a lot of... I think because I did so much of this work on my own before I started doing QHHT, I got through all my human lives. It was really hard for me to find recorded clips from a session that I had that was on Earth. Because I've gone through most of them.
Yeah.
Or at least the ones that I needed to, that had stuff for me that was relevant in this life, right? So now I'm in the land of not Earth. I really don't know what to say about most of this stuff.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna intro most of it because I don't really know how to explain it.
Okay. I'm excited.
I was like, oh, this will be fun. I'll share clips from my session. And now I'm like over here sweating a little bit, but you ready to jump off the deep end?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Let's go. So, yeah, that's where we're going to pause for now. In this first transmission, we ventured into one of my past lives on Earth. But in part 2, we're going beyond Earth. Coming up next on Ancient Astronauts. This is where shit gets weird. Alien timelines, galactic adventures, planets I can barely pronounce. That's what's coming up in part 2 with Sophie. So buckle up. This next transmission is one hell of a ride. And that music you're hearing now? Yep, that's Sophie. You can check out more of her stuff on Spotify under Sophie Cooper. Link is in the show notes. That's it for this leg of the journey. Thank you for traveling with us today. And to all our fellow astronauts tuning in, stay curious and let the universe guide you home. Special thanks to our audio alchemist, Dustin Stonebrook, tuning the timelines beneath our feet and translating stardust into sound.